Welcome to Boss Cowboy Sports, and I'm bringing you another measured Kool-Aid Report. Today we're going to be talking about what Mike McCarthy just confirmed at the press conference. And Mike McCarthy came out and he said, Cowboys coach Mike McCarthy, he said, we rotated 5 different combinations on the O-line in practice Thursday. And that's how we will get through the game. Tyron Smith won't play every snap of game Sunday versus Jags. There's a high probability team to use multiple combinations. So, obviously that's get your attention, because he also said it's very rare that you see somebody come off an injury and then get thrown in for 70 snaps. And that does make sense. I get that. But I also obviously have my thoughts on it, and me measuring the Kool-Aid. I'm going to give y'all my straight up thoughts on it, and I tweeted it as well. I said Mike McCarthy just confirmed that it will likely be rotation at the right tackle positions versus the Jags. Now, this is the issue. If Ball is in that rotation after being beat out by Avante Collins in the preseason, then the Cowboys front office is crazy with the our guys draft philosophy. Don't risk Dak. And the our guys philosophy is coming from Stephen Jones. So, and I'm surprised the fan base is not more in arms over this. Because, see, I'm seeing Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde when it comes to our fans in competition. And I'm just keeping it real. Because when it comes to players that we like, we believe in preseason. So, like, we like Bland. So we say Bland's supposed to get some reps based on how he performed in preseason. But when it comes to the competition between Collins and Ball, we don't care about preseason competition. Now, the issue is, and the funny thing is this, Josh Ball and Collins, out of all players on the entire team, both of those guys received the most amount of reps, period. And then, so basically you have a good sample size to compare the two. So if somebody doubts is if Collins is a starter, fine. I'm not going to fight you on that. I can tell you this. He played starting reps with Minnesota, and he played starting reps with Pittsburgh. And a lot of people from Minnesota did not want him to go. Most importantly, since we also looking at the absence of Terrence Steele, one thing that's also important to mention is that Collins got nothing but right side reps in preseason versus they was actually playing Josh Ball initially mostly at left tackle. And it was only on the final preseason games that they started to give Josh Ball some reps at the right tackle. So common sense would say we should see, especially after the performance of Josh Ball on Pass Pro versus the Texans, common sense would say if we respect competition and not our guy philosophy, we should see Collins. If they say they worked in, like Mike McCarthy said, Mike McCarthy confirmed, we rotated 5 different combinations. Well, if we really looking out for Dak, Collins better be in one of them. He better be in one of those, because this is a dangerous game that Stephen Jones could be playing with this our guys philosophy that I want to stick with the young guys. And this is the weird part about this whole our guys bastards versus sons philosophy. So when I say bastards versus son, for some reason, our organizations treat outside free agents like we only want them short term. But we treat the draft picks like they have 9 lives. That's pretty much the Cowboys way, where they really treat based on where you came from, they treat you different. It's a long history showing that to be the case, because Amari is truly an outsider. Even though he came in and blessed the Cowboys, he was still treated like an outsider. Even if you can compare how they're currently using Lamb to how they use Amari last year, it's totally different. They're being very creative with Lamb. They putting him in the backfield. They moving him around. They doing all kind of things to treat their son, the draft pick, way better than they treated their bastard Amari Cooper. And that's the case with the Dallas Cowboys. But this is one that I think we should be also very watchful on. So now that we know that there's going to be a rotation at the tackle position, I would suggest that we all keep our eyes on this. And because this is not the time for politics, this is not the time for playing. We trying to prepare for the playoffs. And however that right tackle shakes out, it better be a rotation with Peters, in my opinion, Collins, and last, if ever, Ball. Period. Because the film done spoke already, but we acting like we don't hear it. So let's keep our eyes on this situation that's going on, because this is big news that Mike McCarthy just broke, and we really do need to keep our eyes on it. But I also want to give us some good news too. I want to give us some hope, because I didn't spend enough time when we covered this, the OC and I, because the OC and I spent some time talking about that right tackle position in a lot of detail, because we obviously went through a lot of different options that the Cowboys have, right? Where we talked about where they can move Tyler Smith to the right tackle. We also talked about Zach Martin potentially being at a right tackle. We just playing with different ideas. Now we looking at the option 5 of T. Smith playing the right tackle. So it's a lot of different potential options. Then obviously Collins should be in the conversation as well, over Ball, just based on competition, as well as Jason Peters. So we got some options. And we do got to test those options. Because this is a time that cross-training, because, you know, I got trolled before. I was told that cross-training was mad, you know, because I used to talk about this a lot. And I was talking about this before Steele and La'el Collins. I was talking about cross-training being a weapon. And we still got to consider that you have 2 tackles that are older and both injury prone. So we got to keep that in mind. But cross training is now, thank God, accepted in Dallas. Now, some people still want to stick with the old philosophy that you don't move people around. Well, welcome to the 21st century. And I'm glad the Dallas Cowboys officially this year divorced that old caveman thinking. And they have. And so it's not Madden. Isn't that funny for the trolls who was trying to troll Boss, saying that cross training was Madden when I was talking about La'el going to left guard? Yeah, I guess it's not Madden, is it? No, it's not. And guess what? It's working. And it's a good thing. Now, you want to be careful how you roll this out, because you don't want to roll out the wrong people on some cross training. They got to be the right person. But this is the good news. Obviously, it was a real big thing to lose Steele. Huge, right? Huge. Like, that's something that's scary. But we are still exponentially blessed, and I want to really take my time and explain it. And because we didn't explain it good enough yesterday. The key tweet came from Michael Gelkin, okay? And he said Cowboys Tyron Smith is expected to play and possibly start at right tackle Sunday versus Jags for the first time since 2011 rookie season. The longtime left tackle looks ambidextrous in practice. So we read it, but we didn't break it down. I'm gonna break it down today how we are so blessed right now, because losing still is big, but we so fortunate that we actually can replace still with somebody that has played at an all-pro level for a very long time, and according to reports looks ambidextrous. Now, some of y'all know exactly what ambidextrous is, and some people don't. So ambidextrous is where you can use your right and left equally. Some people are ambidextrous where they can write with their right hand and write pretty also with their left hand. There are people that can throw with their right and throw with their left. The best ambidextrous athletes are your basketball players and boxers. Right? So ambidextrous basketball player can beat you to the right or beat you to the left because they have equal feel in both hands. They don't have a dominant hand. So what does that mean for tackle? So what we have to understand is this: tackle is a combat sport. It's a combat sport. It's like a fight. So if you think about it, like for instance, I'm a fan, obviously, of Earl Spence, Mr. D-Town, man down. Yeah, the king of the community. He the king of our community. All right. But he's not ambidextrous. Yeah, he's not ambidextrous. So he's going to have to fight you based on the dominance of his power on one side, and he doesn't switch. But he's still elite. But he's handicapped in his ability to box because he's not ambidextrous, but yet he's still a champion. Versus Bud, he's ambidextrous. Roy Jones was ambidextrous. They could switch their feet and they could switch their hands and still fight you and still feel coordinated. It's because it's a gift. It's a genetic God-given gift. And so if we are so lucky to have not only a former All-Pro coming back, but an ambidextrous All-Pro, that's saying that the same feel on the left side, he has the same instincts on the right side. That's actually what makes it hard for tackles to go, or guards to go, from the left side to the right side. That's exactly what makes it extremely hard. But when you're ambidextrous, you're like Bud, you're like Roy Jones. You can switch it up. You can switch it up and you can still fight on a championship level. So if you're not ambidextrous, you can be like Earl Spence, where you're a champion, but you go struggle if they switch you to the other side. So let me explain it to where everybody will get it. So if you want to know how I feel, I always tell people to do this: stand up and throw a punch. This is how you go feel it. Stand up, throw a punch. Okay. Matter of fact, throw a 1-2. Whatever hand you feel comfortable with, throw your punch. Now do this, and then you go feel the power of ambidextrous. Switch your feet and then throw the opposite hand with the same combination. And just tell me how you feel in the comments. But you got to get up and do it. Put your dominant foot forward, throw 2 punches, then switch, throw 2 punches. You go instantly feel the difference. That's the power of ambidextrous. Because when you feel that difference, then imagine somebody who doesn't feel the difference in that combat. And according to reports, T. Smith does not. So yes, we could look at it like the sky is falling. We just lost T. Steele. We just lost T. Steele. Yes, that's bad. But we so fortunate that we have potentially an ambidextrous, which is a great advantage, replacement. And thank God we're now open to doing stuff we wasn't doing before, like cross training. That is what we're doing, to where now you can get the benefit of ambidextrous athletes, and you can work them out on both sides if they have that unique skill set. So I just wanted to give the whole measured Kool-Aid on this, because it's multiple facets to this. The most important one is going to be what they're going to do with this rotation, because based on politics, most of us go expect Josh Ball to be in that rotation. But based on competition and what we all saw, well, I ain't gonna say, because everybody didn't do the research. We did the research over here. We did the film breakdown over here, and we did it in great detail. But based on the competition, we should be seeing the guy who played right tackle all preseason and had the most reps out of every player on the entire team. That's what we should see. Or we should also see the other future Hall of Famer. But I just want to give y'all the measured Kool-Aid on this whole thing, because this is something to watch, and not just now, especially going into the future, because now as we're preparing for the playoffs, it's going to be important to see how this whole thing shake out. So I want to get y'all comments on this. Put this in the description and let me know what you think of this video, because this is real important. But it's not as bad as it seems. But if we not careful, it's not going to be as good as it seems. And the contingency plan is going to be the most important part of this whole scenario. So y'all stay up. It's Boss Cowboy Sports, where your voice matter. Peace.
Boss Cowboy Sports, where your voice matters. Boss Cowboy Sports.